I call this meeting of the Northeast Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. The board will now adjourn into executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Texas Government Code Section 551.071, private consultation with the board's attorney. 551.072, discussing purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. 551.074, to discuss personnel or to hear complaints against personnel. And the time is 5:31. The board will now reconvene into open session. The time is 6:35. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to welcome you to this evening's meeting of the Northeast Independent School Board. This is a business meeting of the board held in public. We appreciate your attendance and request your respectful attention. We welcome your comments during the Matters from the Floor section of the agenda. If you signed up to address a specific action agenda item, you will be called at that time. Finally, I would like to remind you that it is the mission of Northeast to challenge and encourage each student to achieve and demonstrate academic excellence, technical skills, and responsible citizenship. Item 5, Invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. A, Ed White Middle School. Ms. Lorge, sorry.
It's okay. Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. It's my honor and pleasure to introduce you to tonight, during our Board Appreciation Month, 2 outstanding Ed White students. What's truly exceptional about both of these individuals is that their journey to this moment has not always been an easy or straight path, but instead one filled with persistence, resolve, and growth. Today, they are seen as leaders both among the staff and their peers, and a true testament to each is that they were chosen by the faculty and staff to represent Ed White tonight. Giving the invocation tonight is Ayanna Price. She is joined tonight by her uncle, Ashton Ward, her grandmother, Val Ward, and her brother, Andrew Price. Please stand to be recognized. Ayanna is an 8th grader, plays on the volleyball and basketball teams at Ed White, while also maintaining A's and B's, although she did confide in me that she needs to get her algebra grade up a little bit. She takes all the hardest classes that Ed White offers, while helping both the students and staff as a junior pal and a library aide. She's involved with her youth community at church, volunteering to make dolls for children who are suddenly or temporarily uprooted from their home. Tonight, you will hear a work of her own, as reading and writing are her passion. Her maturity and insight have led us to deep conversations, and her passion for social justice is astounding. It's no surprise that she hopes to one day become a journalist or write realistic fiction while traveling the world. Leading us in the pledges tonight is Isaiah Smothers. He is joined by his mother, Jamale Paz, his father, James Smothers, and his grandparents, Charles and Jody Roach. Please stand to be recognized. Isaiah is an 8th grade student in our data program at Ed White, and he is a true scholar athlete. While maintaining his AB average, he has been on the football, basketball, track, golf, and soccer teams these past 2 years, but draws the line at tennis. He's a tuba player in the band, but one of his passions is cooking. He will continue his journey in the data program at Roosevelt, but he's excited that he can also take culinary electives there as well. He is involved with his church, volunteering, not surprisingly, in the cafe there. His data director, Fernando Ruiz, described Isaiah by saying, "He always is willing to lend a helping hand. He's a leader on the court and in the classroom, and he gives 100% in everything he does." Ayanna and Isaiah, will you please come up?
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. When I was younger, maybe about 7, 8, or 9, in between those, out of nowhere from my remembrance, maybe it was a car ride home or just sitting around in the house, I sat there with my mom and said, "Mom, I want to change the world." Now, when I said that, I know for a fact I meant that. Because in that 7, 8, or maybe 9-year-old mind, I truly believe I could change the world. I believe, oh man, I wanted to make this world a positive and have good things happen. Here's the funny part. Now in that 7, 8, or maybe 9-year-old mind, I did not know exactly how I was going to change the world. But I knew I wanted the world to come out positive. I did not care how I was. I just wanted to change the world. As I start to get older, my stage do everything in that getting older process. I did see and been around a lot of bad things to go from I want to change the world to I can't change this messed up world. See, I'm used to hearing we live in this messed up world, and it's true, we do live in this messed up world. My mom used to say she hates watching the news because all there's ever on there is bad stuff happening to young kids and all sorts of people around the world. Tupac said, "I'm not saying I want to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world." And that quote sort of inspires me that I can do that. Now to this day, being 13, going on 14, I told my mom, "Mom, I don't know how I'm going to change the world, but Tupac said he can spark the brain to change the world." And my mom responded back and said, "Ayana, you may not be able to change the world. No one can in this generation, but you can spark the brain to change the world." Thank you.
Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Ayana and Isaiah, oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, come on
please
up
come
and take a
forward.
picture.
We have, want to take a picture, and we have some certificates for you. And I want to thank you very much for being here and tell you that you will be the spark and you will change the world, and we're going to look for your name.
Trying to see if I can get, yeah, picture. I'm in. Now that I'm taller. I know, it's awesome. Tony's taller. Sweet baby.
Thank you all again for being here. Item 6, matters from executive session. A, personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments pursuant to Government Code Section 551.074. 1, possible action regarding routine personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 2, Athletic Director of MacArthur High School. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hasso. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 3, introductions. Dr. Micah.
Thank you, Madam President. Just for the audience to know, the new athletic director of MacArthur High School is Coach Kevin Hurst. I do have one introduction this evening. Joining us is the new principal for Walsham Elementary School, Miss Elizabeth Washington. Where is she? There she is. Elizabeth joined the Northeast ISD family in 2003. She credits two very special elementary teachers, Mrs. Lacey and Mrs. Pierce, for saving her as she struggled to belong in the schools as a Spanish speaker, and thus became her encouragement to enter this profession. Prior to being named the principal of Walsham Elementary, she was an assistant principal for Wood Middle School. Miss Washington received a bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary studies in 2001 from Sul Ross State University and earned a master's degree in educational administration in 2011 from Concordia University. In addition to wanting her students to feel loved and valued, Miss Washington looks forward to building a partnership with her parents, the community, and stakeholders for the well-being and learning of her students. Miss Washington has 17 years in education. Congratulations, Elizabeth. So I actually saw Liz earlier today. So who is joining you this evening? So where are your children? Come on, you got to stand up. We got to see you. There you go. Well, you guys come on up to the front with your mom. You're going to come take a picture with us. Come on, Terry.
So pretty.
That concludes introductions,
Okay.
Madam President. Thank you.
Item B, possible action on the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property pursuant to Government Code Section 551.072, no action. C, possible action regarding consultation with board's attorney pursuant to Government Code Section 551.071, 1, pending and or possible litigation, no action. Item 7, recognitions. A, Madison High School FFA National Champions. Dr. Newman.
Thank you, President Gronum, members of the board, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. I'd like to ask Doak Stewart, our director for the Agri-Science Magnet Program, to help with these recognitions.
Thank you, Dr. Newman. President Grona, Board of Trustees, Dr. Micah, members of the executive staff, and guests. Good evening, or more appropriately, should I say, howdy. It is once again a distinct privilege and honor to highlight students of the Agri-Science Magnet Program, and tonight I would like to introduce you to a dynamic group of students and FFA members. I would also like to give our appreciation to the families of each of the students here tonight for allowing us the opportunity to work with their children, as well as give thanks to Mr. Steve Zimmerman, the principal of James Madison High School, for his continued support. Now, in October 28th through November the 2nd of this past year, 10 members of the James Madison FFA chapter competed at the national level, bringing home one national championship title and other top finishes at the National FFA Convention and Expo that was held in Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, these students were recognized on stage at the convention in front of more than 60,000 FFA members that were in attendance from across the country, to include Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. And with their respective titles, the students received either cash awards or scholarships that are going to be used for their further future educational endeavors. I'll begin this evening's recognition with the students that competed on the Agricultural Issues Forum contest. Now, they tackled a topic in which they studied the effects of on agriculture if a possible single-use plastic ban went into effect here in the city of San Antonio. Now, they presented in 3 different rounds of competition while at the national contest, beating out 36 teams to become national champions. And so the members of the Agricultural Issues Forum team this evening that are with us are Miss Emily Burt, a junior. Miss Emily, come on up. Miss Haley Carlisle is a 2019 graduate of the program and is back at College Station today.
Whoop.
Miss Annalise Hepp is a senior. Stelly Jimenez, a junior. Michelle Medina, she is a sophomore, and she's accompanied by her guide dog, Milton. Miss Ember Reyes, a junior, And she also has company. That's Optima that's with her. And Taylor Thomas, a senior. And all of these youngsters were coached by Mr. Tyler Price, and he was the coach for the national winning team. Mr. Price, would you? Yeah, if you'll also come up here in front with them. Now, the AgriScience Magnet Program also had 3 other students compete for individual honors in the National AgriScience Fair as well as in the proficiency categories. And tonight we have with us representing the AgriScience Fair, we have Mr. Chase Lund. He's a junior, and he earned the title of Reserve National Champion in the Plant Systems category for his research. And then Colby Wellman, a senior, was a gold medalist in the Division of Food Products and Processing Systems. And they were both coached by Mr. Anderson. And lastly, one other that I'd like to mention tonight is Miss Alicia Montemayor. She is also a 2019 graduate and back at college today. But she made the Final Four and was a gold medalist with her proficiency and work in agriculture education. And she was also coached by Mr. Price. Board, these are the students and their coaches that I'd like to present to you tonight.
Look at him, look at him. There we go. Am I doing all right? Oh, look. Look at it.
Don't everybody leave at one time. Yeah, they'll all be gone. Item 8, presentations. A, State of the NEISD Council of PTAs. Ms. Audra Fergon.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. I'd like to take a minute to recognize and introduce the NEISD Council of PTA's officers in attendance. If you could just stand real quick while I call your name: Adrienne Hicks, Karen Lenartz, and also the committee chairs and mentors, Christina Garcia, Debbie Weissmuller, Sarah Patterson, Lisa Hertefelis, and Bill Watson. As part of the Texas PTA's criteria to earn an outstanding Council PTA Gold Award, a council must attend a school board meeting and present a State of the Council report. Our council has been working really hard to achieve this distinction, and we hope you find this report informative. The NEISD Councils of PTAs is a group of dedicated volunteers working to make a difference to all children. We always reflect on our PTA mission to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. Our goal is that everything we do is to support this mission. As a council of PTA, our purpose is to act as a primary channel of communication within the PTA network, providing information, inspiration, support, guidance, and instruction to its member PTAs. Council of PTA serves to strengthen local PTAs, develop leadership potential. Do I need to run this? Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was running the slideshow. Okay, council's purpose: to develop leadership potential, promote a PTA membership, and advance Texas PTA's goals, programs, and initiatives. Council has been super busy since this summer preparing for the 2019-2020 school year. Some events that we have happened so far this school year: we welcomed in the new school year with all 9 district convocations. This reminded the NEISD family that we exist, what we do, And to the district employees that are not housed on a campus, the work of PTA. We received a national PTA grant to promote AT&T Access program that makes Wi-Fi affordable to qualifying families, to ensure that they have access to homework help, scholarship assistance, and job searches. We were very surprised and excited to receive a JCPenney IZOD donation of 1,400 uniforms this summer, an estimated donation value of about $15,000. Bombas Socks also donated 1,500 pair of high-quality socks designed specifically for people who may not have access to washing facilities. These socks are padded for comfort and for long wear, and they're constructed from antimicrobial, I don't know why my mouth does not want to say that word, fiber to withstand repeated wear between washings. We're scheduled to receive this donation from Bombas every year that the closed closet exists.
They're awesome socks. I buy them. Yeah, I love them. Yeah.
So the uniform donation, in conjunction with the National PTA Grant, prompted us to host a Back the Future event at the Clothes Closet this summer before school started, where we dispersed uniforms, we provided lunch using the grant money, and then we also shared information about this affordable Wi-Fi that's available. From October 15th to November 15th, the councils have about a month. Council ran a Safe2Save driving competition. All 7 high schools participated. And so what they did is they downloaded an app onto their phone, and then they tracked and were rewarded for their undistracted driving. So every time the car was in motion and the phone was opened, the point stopped calculating. Throughout the NEISD community, there were 787 participants with a combined time of 929 days driven undistracted. So we're very proud of the efforts made by our community to break bad habits, such as checking maybe a text message or an email real quick at a red light, and creating a healthy and safe environment for our community. In November, we accepted Reflections art contest entries from the kids. They were submitted by local PTAs for council level participation. Later this month, all council level awardees for the Reflections art contest will be invited to the March 4th Council Reflections ceremony at Eisenhower Middle School. As an association, we have 5 meetings every school year. During each meeting, we share timely PTA information. We focus on promoting Texas PTA's Back the Future message. We recognize local PTA's membership awards and accomplishments, and we highlight successful and innovative local PTA programs through the Council Spotlight On Award. There are also specific meetings where we recognize the district's top volunteers. The State of the District message is presented by Dr. Micah, and we present the Virgil T. Blossom Scholarship to aspiring educators. Our board provides training for local PTAs. These trainings include Texas PTA leader orientations, as well as officer and committee trainings. We want our local PTAs to have the tools they need to be successful and to run a PTA with transparency and without conflict. This year, we also added a Connections Leadership Development Group to further develop our local leaders. The NEISD Council of PTAs continues to provide mentoring and support to each of our local PTAs. This year, we changed it up just a bit, and so now we are pairing local units with council mentor teams, as well as within units inside their cluster. So we're hoping in this effort that we're connecting and unifying those local PTA units. Currently, our district has 17,921 PTA members. Our local PTAs are doing a great job at sharing the message of PTA and promoting PTA membership. Currently, 63 of the 66 campuses have an active PTA, meaning that they have submitted 20 members and they have officers on file with Texas PTA. The NEISD Council of PTAs is working at earning the Golden Apple Award. As Dr. Micah, his direct reports, and our school board trustees are all current members or are becoming members of an NEISD PTA. Thank you for your support. Mayor Ron Nurnberg, State Representative Steve Allison, Senator Jose Menendez, and Councilman John Courage all belong to one of our local PTAs, the Harmony Hills PTA. Council has a few upcoming events that we hope that will make a difference to our district. We're looking forward to our Founders Day celebration on February 6th at Madison High School. We will be honoring and recognizing our newest NEISD PTA Honorary Lifetime members. This is the highest award that can be bestowed on an individual from the PTA. In March, Council will host its annual book sale. It's a favorite in the community where we do that to promote literacy, to provide community service, as well as it is a fundraising event. And then the last thing I'd like to share with you is some information about the clothes closet. So this is a quick, since the beginning of when we opened. So if you notice, the clothes closet opened in the middle of the year. So it opened January 2017, and it finished out that year of May 2017. And in that time, it served 150 students. The following school year, it was open for the entire school year, August 2017 to May 2018. And as you can see, that doubled to 320 students, which makes sense. We're going from a semester to a year. The following year, August 2018 to May 2019, we doubled again to 640 students served. And then this school year to date, from August of 2019 to January 13 of 2020, we've serviced 855 students. So we're very proud of that. So I'm a numbers girl, kind of, maybe not as good as I should be, so I really like to see it broken down. So what does that mean when I tell you that we have serviced our students? So one student serviced means that during the course of the school year, they'll get 10 new underwear, 10 new pair of socks, 10 gently used bottoms, 10 gently used tops, and 3 gently used outerwear. So when we talk about that 855 that I mentioned that we've serviced so far this school year, we're looking at 8,550 new underwear. Big numbers. Let me get my mouth to do that. And then, so the same with the socks and the gently used bottoms and the gently used tops, and then 2,565 gently used coats. So we're very, very proud to be able to provide this. We are so thankful to NEISD Media for coming out to video the clothes closet. It helped us to spread the word, spread the message, and then just to let the community know of our ongoing needs. We would appreciate your support to help us achieve our mission. Social media is one of our most effective communication tools. So if you could like NEISD Council of PTA's Facebook page and visit us at necouncilpta.com. We'd appreciate your social media likes. And thank you for your time. Is there any questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Audra? Yes, Terry.
I have a couple of questions. So the slide went a little fast. Your annual book sale
Yes.
is when again?
It's March 16th through 21st. I'm so bad with dates and remembering numbers. I don't want to say the wrong.
And you already took donations, or how do you get the books?
So the local PTAs will do a little used book sale drive on their campuses, and then they bring them and deliver them to us.
And
So
it-
it's a fundraiser for them as well as for
And
us.
it's any kind of books?
Yeah, we have book lovers of every age and every genre.
But you can donate books, and you can actually, do y'all still take donations just for council and use those for
Sure,
Blossom?
Yeah.
Or you can donate them to one of the schools in your cluster that is collecting them, because that helps them earn money for their PTA.
My college graduates left all their books at my house.
So textbooks, unfortunately, is the one type of book that we don't accept, is the textbook. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Don't put it in somebody's box, because they'll take it out and they'll deduct the number, and they'll get in trouble. What? I know the system. I know it well. I've been the bad guy before. Any other questions for Audra? No.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for dinner. It was delicious. Thank you, Lisa. It was
Oh,
awesome.
good, good.
Appreciate
Thank you.
that. Had a very nice dinner. I'd like to take a picture
Yeah,
with y'all to come forward, please. Yeah. If y'all have homework, you can leave, or you're welcome to stay. Thank you again. Item B, CPS Energy Demand Response. Mr. Clary.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests, Mr. Paul Robbie, our energy manager, will make his way to the podium to make this presentation and introduce our guest.
Madam President, members of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Micah, members of executive staff, and guests. CPS Energy's Demand Response Program is a voluntary program that pays incentives to commercial and industrial customers for reducing electric load at peak times during the summer months. The district has participated in this program for the past 6 years. This past summer, in 2019, the district reduced an average of 830 kilowatts during 19 different curtailment calls from CPS Energy that occurred in June, July, August, and September on weekday afternoons, generally from 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., a short duration of 2 hours per event. As a result of the district's successful participation in the demand response program for 2019, CPS Energy is presenting a rebate check in the amount of $58,070. Here tonight is Mr. Robert Olivares, Key Account Manager with CPS Energy, to present this check to the district.
Thank you for having us out here, and thank you for participating in our demand response program. As you know, this past summer was one of the hottest in recent history, so we really relied on our demand response program to help not only the San Antonio grid, but also ERCOT, which runs the power through all the state, all over the state. And so our program helps that grid as well. So thank you to Northeast. We really appreciate your partnership with this program, and we couldn't do it without you. Thank you.
Well, I'm like, does it say Ron Clary? Yeah. Is it?
Item C, January 2020 School Board Recognition Month. Dr. Micah, but before you do that, we had someone sign up to speak to this item, so I'm going to read matters from the floor. The trustees welcome comments from members of the public during this time of the meeting. Generally, board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting, although members may request further information or a future agenda item on a matter raised during public comment. As explained fully in the board's written procedures for this time, the matters from the floor portion is a limited public forum. Accordingly, speakers may present on a topic related to district business for up to 3 minutes, but are not permitted to make 1, personal complaints about an individual staff or board member that should be raised using the district's grievance policies, 2, a personnel action, 3, a student disciplinary matter, 4, a complaint about a particular student, 5, or pending litigation. Any person who persists in speaking on these topics after being directed not to do so will lose the remainder of their time to speak and may lose their privilege of addressing the board at future meetings. We also welcome written comments at any time, either through email at board@neisd.net or by mail, care of the superintendent's office at 8961 Tesoro Drive, 6th floor, San Antonio, Texas 78217. Ms. Huey.
Kim Martnick.
Good evening, Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the board, executive staff, guests. With this month being school board recognition, the Northeast my name is Kim Martinique, 8716 North Mopac, Austin, 78759. With this month being school board recognition and the Northeast Education Association and Texas State Teachers Association want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your dedication and service, not only to students, but to educators as well. And we've left a sweet little treat for you, so please enjoy. And with public education continuing to be under attack, we want to remind you that we are ready and willing to partner to solve issues that face us now or that may arise in the future. And keep in mind that our organization is a friend when fighting to preserve public education. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the sweet treat.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Micah.
All right, thank you, Madam President. So, as stated, January the 2020 is School Board Recognition Month, and it's really to help build awareness of the crucial role elected Board of Trustees plays in our community and our schools. They are extraordinary people who voluntarily tackle the enormous job of governing our school district. Their actions and decisions affect the present and future lives of our children. So before we show our little video that we have, I do want to say, if you remember when I asked them to vote on the resolution last month, we have a very special Board of Trustees. This is a very special group of 7 people that are really dedicated not just to their individual area, but to this district as a whole. Not simply to our kids, but to our parents, to our businesses, to our employees. And time again, I'm always left in awe of how easy it really is to work with them, because if it's good for kids and it's good for our people, it's a very easy, convincing job of them. So truly, thank you for what you all do. So with that, Jason?
It's people that make up the laws and the rules of the schools. A board member. What is a board member again? It's a governor, school board, a president, school board. Those are school boards. I've never heard of a school board member. 20. About like near 50 of them. 1,000? 900? About like 30? 5 million? 1 million bucks? Maybe about 30% for each person. Pie? I think they don't get paid because like they're volunteers probably. Like they're volunteers. I think a trustee is a rock star. They work morning to midnight. They're important still, but not like celebrities. Like I said, they're kind of not superheroes because they help the district get better and better until it's super good. I would say less homework. School board council should make a sushi in the lunch line. I don't know. Stop all the cheese stuff because I cannot have cheese. Not a lot of people can have cheese. It's a big problem. Thank you, school board.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do. Thanks for helping the school district and us have a better place to live, or have a better school. Thank you, school board, and thanks, Mom. Thank you, board members. And there's a lot of cheese stuff at school. And I'm gonna be famous.
She's all about the cheese.
That was awesome, but I think I'm a celebrity.
And I think there was some salary information that was thrown out there that we could.
30%.
Maybe 30%.
Hey,
The 5 million.
Could I borrow some money, David?
I would also like to second the motion on the no cheese.
But I like cheese, so keep it on the menu.
I also like sushi. We can eliminate cheese if we can incorporate sushi.
Did I hear pie? Did someone say pie? Yes.
Oh, we get cake.
Yeah, we have, that was hilarious. That was awesome.
was
Thank
I
you for
love it.
whoever
Great
put that
job.
together. It was an
Great,
awesome
great
job.
job.
Sure, go ahead. You can.
So, I think y'all snuck in on us, but I believe we have some Boy Scouts out there in the audience tonight. So, where is Preston Hiller? There he is. So, Preston's a 7th grader at Tejeda, and he's trying to earn his citizenship and the community badge. Welcome to the school board meeting. And then, let's see, Mason Sparrow. We have Mason here. There he is in the back. He's an 11th grader at Johnson High School. And Evan, your brother, is joining you too, right? And Evan is an 8th grader at Tex Hill working on their communication badge. So welcome to our meeting, guys.
Okay. Thank you all for being here. Item 9, board business. A, possible action regarding changing the March 2020 regular board meeting date. Dr. Micah.
Well, let me get to the right page. Thank you, Madam President. So there is a conflict with our regularly scheduled board meeting in March of 2020. Traditionally, the regular board meetings are scheduled on the second Monday of each month, and this year the second Monday actually falls on March the 9th during spring break. As much as I enjoy hanging out with y'all, I really I think the rest of us, well, Donna asked for that time off, so we'll blame Donna. Ron said he was fine to come in, right, Ron? That's what I thought. So it is recommended that the Northeast Board of Trustees approve March the 2nd as the date for the regular board meeting in March.
Okay. Is there any discussion about that? Do I have a motion to approve March 2nd, 2020 as the date for the regular board meeting in March?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 10, new business for possible board action, A, board policy. 1, possible action regarding board policy EIC local, second reading. Dr. Newman.
Thank you, President Gronum, members of the board, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. At our last regular board meeting, Colleen Borman and Gary Hardcastle from our Learning Support Services presented to you the changes to EIC local pertaining to the multiplier and class rank. At this time, we are asking that the Board of Trustees approve the second reading of the EIC policy change.
Thank you, Dr. Newman. Does anyone have any questions regarding second reading or about the policy? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the second reading of the EIC local policy change?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Was that Mr. Leos?
It is.
Woohoo!
Omar said he second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. All right. Item 2, possible action regarding board policy FDB local, first reading. Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, President Grona, members of the board, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. As you know, FDB local pertains to intra-district transfers, which includes employee child transfers. For the first reading, we are requesting that foster children be added to transfer eligibility as defined under children of district employees. Dr. Brummett and I are available to answer any questions you may have.
Does anybody have any questions about this?
No.
Okay, seeing none, do I have, oh,
Sandy?
I'm sorry.
Check the agenda items to make sure that they're not addressing this. Is
I
that
don't believe so.
I don't think so.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve first reading of FDB local intra-district transfers and classroom assignments revision as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 3, possible action regarding update 114, first reading. Ms. King.
Madam President, board members, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. Presented for your approval is the first reading of Update 114, which consists of 18 local policies that were either added, revised, or deleted. Changes to these policies are based almost entirely on the legislation from last year's 86th regular legislative session. In addition to approving the 18 policies in Update 114, we're asking that you approve the additional revisions to policies BED, CKC, CKE, and DH as presented. If you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about this update? No. Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve first reading of above listed local policies included in Update 114 with additional revisions to policies BED, CKC, CKE, and DH as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hasso. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item B, resolutions. Possible action regarding Rodeo Day resolution. Dr. Newman.
Thank you, President Grona. At this time, I would like to ask Doak Stewart, our Director for the Agri-Science Magnet Program, to once again approach the podium and address the resolution.
Thank you again. And Madam President, members of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Micah, members of the executive staff, and guests, howdy once again. Throughout the 43-year history of the James Madison FFA chapter, it has enjoyed a great relationship as a benefactor of the San Antonio Livestock Exposition through in-kind gifts, endowments, and substantial funding of scholarships that our FFA members have received. Because of that relationship, it is a distinct honor and privilege that the James Madison FFA chapter present the following proclamation. At this time, I invite Ms. Ember Reyes, President of the James Madison FFA chapter, to present the resolution to the Board of Trustees for your consideration and action. Ms. Ember?
Good evening. My name is Ember Reyes, and I'm in my junior year as a student of the Agri-Science Magnet Program at James Madison High School, where I've been studying in the animal science pathway. I am also a very active member in the FFA with participation in leadership and career development events, agri-science fair research, the raising of guide dogs, and currently serving as the 2019-2020 James Madison FFA Chapter President. It is a distinct honor and privilege to present the following resolution. The resolution, recognition of Northeast Independent School District Rodeo Day. Whereas over 6,000 volunteers of the San Antonio Livestock Exposition, or SAIL, continue to provide a rich tradition and history of stewardship to the community, agriculture industry, and youth of Texas. And whereas the SAIL has grown to be one of the largest and most prestigious single events in San Antonio, providing over 1 million visitors with wholesome family entertainment and education that celebrates agricultural literacy and appreciation of the Western lifestyle. And whereas since 1950, the SAIL educational commitment exceeds $210 million, with $12 million committed in 2019, in the form of scholarships, grants, endowments, auctions, calf scramble programs, and show premiums paid to youth. And whereas to date, the SAIL has awarded $797,000 in scholarships to graduating seniors of the James Madison FFA to study agriculture at the post-secondary level. And whereas the SAIL has donated equipment and provided co-curricular activities, including career development events, school tours, and the world's largest livestock show for the students of the Northeast Independent School District. It is respectfully requested that the members of the Boards of Trustees of Northeast Independent School District proclaim February 14th, 2020 as Rodeo Day.
Thank you very much for reading that resolution. Does anybody have any comments? Let's rodeo.
Let's rodeo.
Do I have a motion to approve the resolution proclaiming February 14th, 2020 as Rodeo Day for Northeast Independent Schools?
So moved.
Oops.
All at once.
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Winkley and Mr. Hasso, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you again for being here to present that.
So we're replacing Valentine's Day with Rodeo Day?
Yes, so wear your boots.
Okay, thank you.
Your red boots.
Did you realize? But you can wear red.
Okay.
Yeah. Or pink. Confused myself, which is not hard to do.
Sorry.
B2.
Oh. Item 2, possible action regarding National School Counseling Week resolution. Mr. Garrett.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. At this time, I would like Natalie Hierholzer to come forward and as Director of Guidance and Services to review the National School Counseling Week.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. The week of February 3rd through the 7th has been designated by the American School Counselor Association as National School Counseling Week. This week highlights the tremendous impact that our school counselors have on our students. The counselors work diligently to support the social and emotional needs of each student so they can accomplish their goals. I would like to thank the counselors for their attendance this evening, and if y'all would please stand. All the counselors. We have prepared our short annual video to highlight the students and their counselors, and also want to thank the Roan Forest Trailblazer Choir and their director for the second year in the row, Matthew Trevino, the director, for providing the music. So.
There's nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say that you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. There's nothing you can't make that can't be made. No one you can't save that can't be saved. Nothing you can't do but you can learn how to be in time. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. There's nothing you can know that isn't known. Nothing you can see that isn't shown. There's nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Love, love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. 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 Love is all you need.
So the administrative staff recommends the Board of Trustees approve the resolution proclaiming the week of February 3rd through the 7th as National School Counseling Week.
Thank you. That video was awesome. Thank you for putting, and thank you to everyone who's here this evening, and thank you to everyone, all the counselors, for everything that you do for our kiddos. I mean, you do an amazing job. Does anybody have any comments or anything before we approve the resolution?
Thank you to the Rome Forest Choir.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
I keep hearing that in my brain.
Okay, I have to do a shout out real quick. There are my children's elementary counselor and their high school counselor is here this evening. And so I thought it was really cool. It's kind of the beginning and then the end. And then next to them is my daughter's best friend's mom. So I am like fully covered in the audience tonight. Yeah, it's good. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you. Do I have a motion proclaiming, or do I have a motion to approve the resolution proclaiming the week of February 3rd to 7, 2020 as National School Counseling Week?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hasso. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you again. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything. Item C, Instruction and Campus Administration. 1, possible action regarding 2019-2020 District Instructional Improvement Plan. Mr. Jarrett.
Thank you, President Grona. So as you know, we create our district improvement plan in the month of April. And so at this point in time, we would like to visit with the board about the possibility of creating some flexibility as we continue to adjust our plan to meet the needs of our students. So I would like Jennifer and Susan to come forward from the Office of Curriculum and Instruction.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. On behalf of the district, we are requesting permission to make changes to the district instructional improvement plan throughout the year as we receive new data. Due to the fact that we submit the DIP for board approval in April, we use the past year's data to set our goals. We receive preliminary STAR data in June and therefore need to make adjustments to our goals based on this new information. Additionally, we receive final STAR data in the taper report in December, which again causes us to make adjustments to our goals. So Brandy is going to show you a really quick example of what that might look like. So initially in April, when we brought the DIP for approval in front of y'all, we had set the goal, the SMART goal, at 5% for approaches, meets, and masters. After we received the data, and Brandy, if you go to the next slide, you see we looked at historical data over the past few years and then the new data that came in, and we saw that we were increasing we were making about 2 to 3% gains. So to try and make a 5% gain at the approaches, meets, and masters level was, it was an ambitious goal, but we're trying to make the goal attainable. Because after, several years of kind of looking at it and realizing, well, 5% across each one of those performance levels, it wasn't attainable for a district this large, so we had to make some adjustments. So, Anthony, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, so essentially, we're asking just for some flexibility and agility, not necessarily to keep up and down with the percents. We're adjusting the percentage based on the data that we receive because, again, to Susan's point, we want to really create attainable goals, and we want to create this transparency to you guys as well as the public that we're working towards a goal that we can actually accomplish. And so this ask is really to just allow some flexibility to adjust our goal based on the data that we receive from the state, but also as we work through our instructional practices, we make adjustments to those too. If we find out something's not working, we don't want to keep doing that something and wasting our kids' time, our staff time, or our overall use of resources. And so that is what we're asking of the board at this time.
I love it.
So I have do I read this next
Sorry.
statement? Yes? Okay. You can do whatever you want. It's because of the timing of the submission of the DIP to the board and the arrival of the STAR data, we are recommending that the Board of Trustees grant administrative staff the ability to make updates and changes to the district improvement plan in accordance with applicable laws, but also allowing the plan to change to meet the district's needs.
I love it. Terry.
So do those changes have to come back to the board for approval, or this will grant you the ability to just make the changes as needed?
Yes.
This would grant us the ability to make the changes. Of course, we always will keep the board informed if we see that there are some true dangers or challenges in front of us. But this is just really for us to create this agility in our practice on a day-to-day basis, but more on an annual basis, and also based on real numbers. That's what we really want to do.
And the plan that's currently on the website would be updated as
Yes,
well.
ma'am. Yes, we want to maintain that transparency as well. And again, our goal is, we don't know until we get the data, because sometimes you can regress. And if you regress and you set a goal, you need to make sure that goal is still attainable each year, because we want to show 1 year's worth of growth every year.
Thank you.
Is this the first time we've ever made an adjustment like this? Sorry.
No, that's
Anthony.
okay. I can
Yeah.
share with you that we have always, when I was a campus principal, our campus
Yeah.
improvement plans it was a working document. It's
Oh,
our
good,
roadmap.
good.
So we have discussed it at DEIC. We hold 4 DEIC meetings throughout the year, and we always touch base on the district improvement plan. And we talk about making adjustments. We've never brought it back to the board, and they've never been official adjustments. But we would like to be able, as Mr. Jarrett
Yeah.
said, to provide the transparency and make these adjustments on
I
the
think it's a
actual
great
plan.
idea.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you're wanting to adjust them to make them attainable goals and more realistic for what's really happening. So the transparency, I mean, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments regarding that? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to grant administrative staff the ability to make updates and changes to the district instructional improvement plan in accordance with the applicable law, but also allowing the plan to change to meet the district's needs?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the motion carries. Item 2, possible action regarding innovative courses request. Mr. Jarrett.
Thank you again, Madam President. At this time, I would like to ask Ben Peterson to come forward and to review the 3 innovative courses that we would like to have considered for approval.
Good afternoon, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Micah, and executive staff. Within the CTE department, we'd like to request 3 innovative courses: civil engineering and architecture that will be taught over at ETA, sports and entertainment marketing 2, which is an advanced course that will be taught at all high schools, and then occupational safety and environmental technology, excuse me, which will be taught out at our CTEC facility with our construction courses. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have about those 3 particular courses.
How does for the civil engineering and the architecture, you say, it's new now to ETA?
Yes, sir. It'll be a new course taught at our Engineering Technology Academy.
Oh, okay. Okay. I guess I didn't.
And
realize
it's on the state list of innovative courses, so it's being taught at several courses around the state
Right.
currently. And we're wanting to add that to our engineering pathway there at ETA.
The other question, one of the things, and that maybe it's easily answered, but at the beginning of our little background information on our packet, it says that the school district may offer without modifications.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, sir. So, great. So the state has these innovative courses. Within our department, CTE, we have about 60 courses that are innovative. So they're basically being tested for a certain number of years, and they come with a scope and sequence and certain TEKs. And so we just have to maintain fidelity to that scope and sequence and the TEKs, and we can't adjust or become innovative on our own within the innovative courses.
Okay. And that's what I was wondering, is there's any flexibility with the local teacher or school to make, go outside of that a little bit?
We can supplement, we're just
Sure.
unable to supplant.
Okay.
So the TEKs within these innovative courses are really, they're really nice. They're well written. A lot of support is provided within the innovative courses of resources. And so our teachers, we've looked these over, and we're excited. We're fully able to teach those courses.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes,
would you just for the board's benefit describe what TEKs are?
Yes, sir. The TEKs are the essential knowledge and skills that the teacher must teach within every class, from the first day of class to the end of class. And so when the teacher can say that our student has mastered the TEKs, that's when the student receives credit for that course. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Who wanted to know that, David or Terry?
David
Or Omar.
and Omar wanted to know that.
I'm sorry.
I've got a question. Did I hear you say that the sports and entertainment marketing was offered at every campus?
Yes, sir. Possibly being taught at every campus. Marketing is a strange course in that the teacher must have marketing experience, at least 3 years of paid marketing experience to teach marketing. Some of our high schools are looking for that teacher. Not all of them have that teacher right now.
Okay. So it's, I guess I'm just trying to gauge, is it like something that's that popular that across,
Yes,
our,
sir.
interesting.
We've taught sports and entertainment marketing for the past 4 or 5 years. It's been a great course. It's a semester-long course. And so, unfortunately, those kids that take it the first semester, they want to keep on, and there's never been anything for them to continue on. And so the state introduced the second level of that course.
So everybody
Yes,
wanna be
there's been a
cheering
growing interest in the sports marketing capacity, and so these innovative courses is really for us to dip our toe in the water to gauge interest of kids, because eventually those courses can be recommended by the state as long-term courses offered at all of our schools.
Okay. Great. Ms. Williams?
So Tony should have said Terry wanted to know, because that was my question as well, to know if there was, I mean, I do know folks that work for Spurs Sports and Entertainment and marketing, things like that, but I didn't know if there was actually a well-defined career path, for that particular industry, or if it was so, small in specialty that, what's the likelihood of, obtaining a good career in that industry?
And that's a great question. The courses that come alive within CTE do have high growth projected. And it was really interesting because as we looked at this, I always kind of just said the terms together, sports and entertainment marketing, not thinking about them as really two separate types of marketing. And so some of it is certainly on the sports industry, and the remaining part is on entertainment, including the movie theaters and so forth. And so it is a booming industry that talks about a lot of growth. Matter of fact, between 2014 and 2024, they're expecting 8% growth across the state, and that's just in Texas.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion to approve the innovative courses as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Item 3, possible action regarding 2020-2021 proposed calendar for Castle Hills and Academy of Creative Education. Mr. Jarrett. It's the Mr. Jarrett show tonight.
It seems that way, doesn't it? So at this time, I would like Colleen Berman to come forward to review the proposed calendar for our ACE Academy as well as Castle Hills. Colleen.
Good evening. Thank you. Tonight you have the two calendars for Castle Hills and also ACE. As you're aware, Castle Hills is a year-round school, and the calendar will continue to reflect that. Also, the Academy for Creative Education is a 210 extended year calendar as well, and it provides that flexibility that our campuses are needing. The calendars meet all the legal requirements. Their approval process is a little bit different. Each one of their campuses, through their CIC and their teachers, approve these calendars for us to bring forward tonight. So we are requesting approval for both calendars this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Borman. Does anybody have any questions about the calendars? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the 2020-2021 proposed calendars for Castle Hills Elementary and Academy of Creative Education as submitted by their respective staffs?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item D, Business Services. 1, possible action regarding TEA Security Environment Authorization. Sorry, I have to go to Mr. Villarreal now.
I can cover that for you, Dan.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Yes, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. We bring to you tonight Brenda Padalecki's name. She has to be reauthorized. She's been our PEAMS coordinator for years, and I think the last time we did this was probably 5 years ago, but now TA is saying we have to reauthorize once a year. So we're bringing that to you.
Okay, anybody have any questions about that? Okay, so do I have a motion to authorize Brenda Padalecki, NEISD PEMS coordinator, to act as the superintendent designee for approving staff requests, also referred to as submitting requests to TEA for access to one or more TEA web applications accessed through the TEAS. This authorization is valid for the calendar year starting January 13th, 2020 to January 13th, 21.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Rosso. I was hoping somebody would see that was a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. And y'all wonder why I have a sore throat. Item E, Operations 1, possible action regarding adoption of new interlocal agreement, ILA, between the City of San Antonio and 12 public education districts within its boundaries. Mr. Clary.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests, Mr. Sullivan is at the podium to present this item.
Good evening. It's my pleasure tonight to talk to you about our recommendation for you to consider adopting the newest interlocal agreement that we've negotiated with the City of San Antonio. There are 12 signatories to the agreement in addition to the City of San Antonio, 11 school districts, of which we're one, as well as the Alamo Community College District. Essentially, all the school districts in town, except those school districts that are outside of Bexar County, which are just the three military school districts, are part of the agreement. Randolph, Lackland, and Fort Sam are not signatories, but all the other school districts in the area are part of the agreement. The purpose of the interlocal agreement is to help streamline the process of building plan review, permit issuance, and inspections of projects as they move forward. We started this ILA process some 15 years ago with our 2003 bond program. And this agreement we're going to bring to you this evening is for a 10-year period. The city wants to backdate it to August 1st, 2019, and it would extend through July 31st, 2019. The reason the August 1st is that's when the last agreement technically ended, and we've been kind of in a continuing resolution, a continuing ILA while we continue the negotiations that took a little longer than the 2 years that was anticipated. It took 2 years and a semester. All right, so in the beginning, back prior to 2004, all the school districts were essentially on their own, and we each had to work with the city and all the separate departments in order to get our plans reviewed, our permits issued, and our buildings inspected, resulting in a certificate of occupancy at the end of the project. This was a very disjointed process. There was no centralized department down at the city. The plans went from department to department. There were some projects in our district that took over 150 days. That's almost a half a year to get the permit issued from the time we turned the plans in. And this can create a lot of challenges for contractors who have teams and crews ready to go to work, and then you delay their construction waiting on the city to finally issue us a permit. There was no rhyme or reason as to what the city could deny a permit for. It could be some very minor issue or it could be a major issue. There were no rules in effect that prevented the city from using their authority to prevent us from starting our project. And then the inspection practices were very inconsistent amongst inspectors. So in 2002, the three largest school districts with building programs, ourselves, Northside, and San Antonio, approached the city with our respective superintendents and asked the city manager to consider creating an interlocal agreement. So we met over a 2-year period. Our construction staffs, the school district superintendents, the city manager, the public works director, and building code officials, and we hammered out the first ILA, which was adopted in May of 2004. And it was great. Our permitting process went from 60 to 150 days to no more than 50 days. They formed, with the funds that we provided for our permit and plan review processes, those funds created a school team and the school team's sole function was to review school district plans and the ACCD plans. That was their sole job. So we had a dedicated group of people. We had a person we could call if we had an issue and speak to that was over the school team, the school team leader. And we had a group of inspectors that had a consistent set of standards with which to inspect our projects. We also agreed on 7 and 7 only major type issues that could prevent a permit from being issued. And even if we had one of those issues, we were still able to get a conditional or limited building permit. The major components of the interlocal agreement are shown here. It includes the plan review process, issuance of the permit, the organization of the school team, stormwater management, landscaping, and tree preservation was added in 2009. We had that in the original 2004 agreement, but at the city council meeting, when it was being adopted by city council, a large group of environmentalists appeared and demanded that the city council hold the school districts to the same standards that local developers were held to. So the city council pulled the entire landscaping and tree preservation part of the agreement out, and we just fell back under the ordinances that were in effect, the tree ordinance and the landscape ordinance. We then spent the next 3 years or 5 years negotiating what would be acceptable to the environmental group as well as the city. And in 2009, we added back in a landscape and tree preservation component to the ILA. Sidewalk and street cuts, inspections, resolutions of violations, issuance of the certificate of occupancy, portable buildings, vested rights was added in 2009, as well as annexation requirements in 2009, and then traffic control devices, your flashers and your traffic lights. Those are the major components that we work to negotiate acceptable agreements on both sides for how plans and permits are going to be issued. After the first agreement ended in 2009, we brought to you and the school districts adopted a second ILA that had a 10-year term. So we doubled the timeline from 5 to 10 years. The same group of 12 signed up again. There were some changes. The stormwater requirements were revised. We no longer had to do detailed drainage studies for school sites located inside 410 because many of those sites, I just call them postage stamp sites. They're so small that we couldn't do on-site detention and even have a school building. We expanded the requirements for how the school team was to be evaluated. We added the landscaping and tree preservation requirements. We revised the parking requirements to establish limits on how many parking spaces you could have. We included a 35% fair market value provision for sidewalk upgrades. The city had a tactic where anytime we did any project on a school site, any sidewalk that bordered the school site had to be upgraded, no matter how big the project or how small the project was, and it became onerous. Sometimes the sidewalk cost was more expensive than the actual construction cost of the building because of the linear square footage of sidewalk we had to do. So we agreed on a 35% fair market value provision for that. We revised some of the street cut rules. We expanded the portable building construction requirements. We added in a vested rights component, that if we bought a piece of property and the owner had vested rights, the vested rights passed to the school district. And then we added in annexation requirements, which mainly affected the North Side School District. As they grew, they really pressed the city for an annexation component because of how that worked between projects that were in the county that became part of the city. The third ILA, which is what the subject of this evening is, takes what we've done over the last 15 years and further evaluates it and creates some other stipulations. The plan review permitting process was reduced from 50 to 40 days. So we picked up 10 days in the permitting plan review process, which was good. They asked to add 2 new items to our list of 7 permit denial issues. And these are 2 issues that essentially affect the city of San Antonio at large. The 2 biggest issues in the city right now, as far as the city is concerned, is traffic. So we had a traffic impact analysis requirement, and we do that as a matter of course for any of our projects. We do a TIA. And they wanted an adverse impact on stormwater drainage provision included. which triggered item number 3, where through our negotiations, the city was not pleased with the condition we got for the last ILA, where we got the engineering studies removed for school sites inside 410. They needed that. That was our number one issue, was to add that back into the ILA. That was their number one negotiating point, because drainage is a big issue in the city, and it's becoming bigger as the city continues to expand. So the negotiated point was, we'll do it up to 2,000 feet downstream, which is the city ordinance. However, we're going to use the FILO, the fee in lieu of on-site detention, to pay for it. So the cost impact is essentially is zero. We would pay them the FILO fee anyhow if we didn't do detention. But now they wanted this, to them, the study was more important than the FILO fee, because the FILO fee would go into a regional stormwater account, and then the city could use their own engineers to decide what were the best regional improvements to make to the stormwater system. But a lot of times the monies weren't spent in those areas where the greatest impact was, and so it became a mismanaged issue. So they asked that this be put back into the ILA, and the studies would help them better use the funds in order to manage the drainage improvements from development. And we agreed. We made some revisions to the landscape and tree preservation requirements. For the first time, we're now allowed to use tree credits to reduce parking lot shading, mainly if we have an impact on lighting, parking lot lighting for security, or security cameras. The second provision was if we put in xeriscape, we're not required to put an irrigation system in the xeriscape area. We've included under the sidewalk requirements a new city standard, which is bike facility requirements. But that also falls under the 35% fair market value provision. We made a few more adjustments to the city street cuts, where we're now including pavement index grades to decide how big a street cut replacement needs to be done if you run utilities across the street. Portable building requirements at elementary schools was further refined with regards to fire protection systems. Portable buildings at an elementary school are not connected to the main fire alarm panel, but they are interconnected amongst themselves, essentially have a portable fire alarm system. And if we have more than 60 students in a portable, then that triggers additional requirements on the school districts, which typically is not the case. And then Northside insisted on the annexation component that we add another paragraph that said, in the 3-year annexation plan, if there was a plan to absorb a part of the county into the city, and there was schoolwork going to be done in that county area, which is under a different governmental entity, then the city has agreed, if paid, that they'll do the plan review and the inspections on those facilities that eventually would become part of the city areas. So those are the changes. We're very pleased with the ILA that we've negotiated over the last 2.5 years, and we recommend for your consideration this evening approval of the ILA for Northeast ISD. Each of the 11 school boards and ACCD must go through the same process we're going through tonight before the City Council will take this up for their consideration. Earlier, it'll be in the springtime of this year. And this is for a 10-year period, just like the 2009 ILA. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. But it's a good document.
Does anyone have any questions about this? Ms. Williams?
So, say devil's advocate, what if one of the school districts does not approve this?
Then they'll be removed from the agreement.
Oh, we don't go back and try to...
No, we've all worked as a group. The 12 of us have worked as a group for the last 2.5 years to come up with what we felt were the best components for, as a group, for our on our side versus the city. And if anybody at this point doesn't want to agree to it, then we just take them out of the agreement, and we would move forward with those that have approved it.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a couple of questions. One of the provisions in here is about the preliminary plan review.
Yes, sir.
And it says that we have to do one for all new and major renovations.
Yes, sir.
Is that occurring right now, or is that something that's...
We've done that for all 3 ILAs.
Okay.
So that's not a new provision. We've always done the preliminary plan review process as part of our plan review and permitting process.
And then you mentioned the tree credits and the banks of the trees do we have credits?
Yes, sir,
for
we do.
Northeast?
We have over 4,000 tree credits.
That's fantastic. Could I get some of those for one of my other projects? No, that's great, and those obviously come in handy.
Very handy, because sometimes it just becomes very difficult on some of our school sites to put in the number of trees that the ordinance requires.
Sure, right.
But we have two ways around it. We have the tree credits, and we can also now, based on the newest ILA, we can plant the trees required at a different site within the district if we choose. So if we don't want to use the tree credit, we need to add 10 trees, we can put the 10 trees at some other school site where we have the room to plant the trees.
So you have some flexibility
Yes,
there
sir.
to move
Which is
around
good.
the district. That's great. The last, well, I guess two more. One is really specific, but under this agreement, when you're talking about the xeriscape and the need for irrigation, do they classify turf or sod or grass as part of landscape under this? Because I know in the city ordinance, grass doesn't have to be irrigated, and I'm curious if they're making us irrigate.
No, sir, they're not requiring us for that.
Because I know that's a long-term maintenance and operations type.
But that does impact impervious cover calculations.
Correct, okay. And then have you seen any other outside of these 12 districts, any of our charter and private schools and any of those organizations trying to get in on this agreement?
No, sir.
That's all I have.
We are now in discussions with the county because we've asked the county to adopt something similar to this. We've been unsuccessful so far, but we have our second meeting with the county this month. So they're at least open to the idea of adopting an ILA to help with projects in the county, because it can be pretty tough in the county getting through the fire marshal review. He's a tough character out there.
Any questions to my right? I forget to look to my right. Okay, do you think I have to read this whole thing, or can I just say we approve the new interlocal? Do I have a motion to approve the new interlocal agreement and recommend that the district enter into this agreement? And authorize or grant the superintendent, associate superintendent of operations, and executive director of construction management and engineering authority to execute the new interlocal agreement between the city of San Antonio and 12 public education districts.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Byard, and thank you, Mr. Hasso, for the second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the motion carries. Was that good?
It was perfect, Ms. Groner.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Good answer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that great presentation. Item F, consent. 1, business services. A, ETA Rocketry Club. B, 50,000 purchases. 2, operations. A, 2016 hail damage program, year 3 bid. Package 1, priority 3, roof repair and replacement project, 3 campuses, bid award approval. B, 2016 hail damage program, year 3 bid. Package 2, priority 3, roof repair and replacement project, 4 campuses, bid award approval. C, 2016 hail damage program, year 3 bid. Package 3, priority 3, roof repair and replacement project, 3 campuses, bid award approval. D, professional services contracts, construction contracts, and related contract amendments supporting the 2015 bond design and construction requirements. 3, minutes from September 2019. 4, end of consent. Do I have a board member wishing to pull an item from consent?
I'd like to pull one from the 50,000 purchases.
Okay, does anybody else have anything they want to pull? Okay, so do I have a motion to approve consent without item 1B, 50,000 purchases?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Do I have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Okay, Mr. Byer, F1B, 50,000 purchases.
F1B, yeah, there was one of the line items on our attachment, there looks like there were 5 categories. One of them is network technology, and the description is fiber-wide area network project, and it's more of a question as to what that project entails and what it's servicing. It sounds like it's a good upgrade to our infrastructure, but.
Yes, sir. I call on Doretta Walker. She can discuss that a little bit more in detail.
Hello. Hi. Your question is regarding exactly what all that project entails?
Well, yeah, is it district-wide or is it specifically one facility or what is?
It is district-wide. It's every single facility within inside the district, including administrative and instructional spaces. Right now, we currently have a contract that has been good for the last 10 years. We're on the back end of it. We've got 1 year left. This is the replacement contract for that. And in this particular case, it not only is going to save us about $400,000 a year for the first 3 years and about $500,000 a year for the next 7, it also is going to increase our capacity 10 times.
Okay, and that's, one was the question too. I assumed it had something to do with increasing our capacity, and so.
It does. It connects all the campuses to the hubs up to the data center, which is here inside of this building. And then the particular vendor that we're choosing also offered us a new internet service contract, which was an amazing price. So we decided to offer them both contracts.
That's great. And I know moving into some of the cybersecurity and some of the other things that the district's offering to students, I think that's a fantastic project. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. So would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to move to approve consent item
F1B.
F1B.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Item 11, reports. A, financial statement review of expenditures, that's been provided for you. B, awarded bid report, that's been provided for you. Item 12, matters from the floor. Since I read it earlier in the meeting, I'm going to opt to not read it again, if that's okay. And we have one person. Ms. Huey?
Eli Barajas.
How y'all doing? How you doing? Thanks for your time. Just real quickly, sorry, my speech is a little bit, impaired. I just got my braces on this morning, so still trying to get used to them.
Will you please state your name for the record?
Eli Barajas. And this is my daughter, Emily Barajas. The reason we're here for is because, just a quick overview on why we're here. This past year, she made the National Junior Art Society. She won some awards in the orchestra. She's very driven for her education. During the Christmas break, we relocated to different school zone. So right now she's currently attending Eisenhower Middle School. Previously, it was a Gardner Middle School. And since she just started her new school, we've noticed a change in her attitude, her mood. She's not being driven enough, or she's not being attentive. They're not attending to her needs when it comes to her education. And the reason I'm here for is to ask y'all, for one parent to another, to allow her to transfer back to Gardner. I do know, I went to talk to the principal last week and the counselor, and they informed me that unless I have a power of attorney from a person in the school zone, I won't be allowed to transfer back to Gardner. I do know y'all offer a student choice program for students who do live outside a different boundary for a school. But I'm asking y'all respectfully from a parent to another to please allow my daughter to be placed back in Gardner, for her to, I want her to be back to driven, to succeed. I want her personality to change, to be, in a happier person. I don't know if y'all aware, in Thursdays, a student at Eisenhower called it in and said it was a school shooting, and it was a lockdown. So I'm just asking y'all, please consider it within your scope of power or realm of responsibilities to please allow her to be eligible under the student choice program to be placed back into Gardner Middle School for the remainder of the school year. Okay. And that's pretty much what I'm here for my daughter.
Okay, thank you. We will have someone look into that. We can't respond during matters. Go ahead.
Mr. Barajas,
Yes,
under
ma'am.
state law, we cannot respond to your request at this time. We can't respond to items that are not on an agenda. That doesn't mean that we haven't heard you. And what we can do is refer it to administration for them to look into. But it's not in our power at this point to make a decision for you. Okay.
So what, I need to just follow up with the principal or Gardner?
The
or?
administration will be contacting you.
Okay.
Mr. Barajas, I have a
Yes, sir.
staff member that is going to speak to you on conclusion of your discussion.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, because they'll visit with you regarding your options.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Item 13, discussion and possible action regarding board members' requests for items to be placed on a future agenda and/or requests for reports from the administration. Does the board member have anything? Seeing none, item 14, adjournment, and the time is 8:10. Oh, was that Brent?